Hi, I'd like to call this meeting of the Sustainability Advisory Board to order on Monday, November 2nd at a little bit after 6. First thing we need to do is approve the minutes of the last meeting, which were on October 5th. Did everybody have a chance to review those? Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as written? Okay, Steve. Oh, Pat, you're on mute. I don't know if I undo you or if.
Everybody was locked, but I just clicked the button that should allow everybody to unmute themselves. So.
Okay, you'll have to unmute yourself, Pat.
We had been in a locked mode. I wasn't, several of us weren't unable to mute ourselves.
Yeah. Should be
so
good now.
We're asking for things. I'm like, nobody's going to be able to respond.
Okay, so you had something to share about the minutes, Pat?
No, I just wanted to be unlocked in terms of muted if you wanted discussion from people.
Okay,
You're
that's a
asking
very
us
good
questions
point.
and we're muted. It's a problem. If we're
Okay.
unable to mute our-
Should be good now. That was an accident.
Okay. Well, then I would like to have a motion, please, to approve the minutes as written.
So moved by Peschel.
Thank
Second.
you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Robert? That was you, right?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
If you're muted, just give us a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Community composting with UWO, and this is a collaboration between Michelle and Brad, I think. We have Michelle on the agenda, but either of you who has something to share, please do.
I don't have anything new to report for this. Brad, can you confirm if you've had any movement on your end?
Sure. The only update I have is that we're still
I'm getting feedback. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try my. We are just trying to meet with folks.
Can everybody else hear Brad?
No.
Okay. It sounds like there's a drum in the background or something. Can't hear you, Ken. You're muted.
I mean, I can hear you, Brad, but it's just you're cutting out.
Well, try again. Maybe it's better now.
Okay.
We got that.
So we are just still trying to coordinate meetings with folks. It's just been hard because it's me and manages the biogas program, and he's been really busy with a biodiesel project. And so our hope is to set up one-on-one meetings with folks and kind of touch base with you, so maybe talk offline about setting up.
Okay, so what I heard from that is that we're kind of in a holding pattern on that, and you're trying to set up something but haven't had a chance to do that yet. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share on the composting? Bob?
Sure. So at one of the council's budget sections, Council Mugarauer reminded the council and Public Works Director Robbie that I think it was about maybe a year ago, we had a group of kids come from a school in Oshkosh, and I can't remember what school it is, but they basically made a presentation about the city engaging in more composting on a municipal level as well. So Mr. Mugarauer and I had some brief interactions after that about potentially bringing back what that presentation was that the kids wanted to do. And then potentially having, a greater conversation about finding a way to encourage Oshkosh residents to compost what they can compost more, and to potentially creating some type of municipal program. When I talked about it, I thought of something more like the stormwater credit program that we created for rain barrels, but was potentially creating some type of credit program like that, for encouraging, finding a way, a carrot to encouraging residents to do some at-home composting, as well as, I don't know that they're interested in doing compost on site, like at the yard waste center at all or anything, but trying to find a way to encourage people to reduce what they put in the garbage cans, and use more and create more organic soil at home and everything. So I'm willing to kind of spearhead that if that's something that the committee would like me to do, or if that's a direction that we want to go. So, but just putting that out there, it may be easier, maybe an easy, I shouldn't say that, but it should be a thing that we can accomplish within due time.
Okay, thank you, Bob. There was a program this summer was it this summer? It must have been during the last school year because we were still meeting in person. But it was at Tipler School at their charter school, I think.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. And it was I can't remember her name now. Bob, who was it that was on the original board with us? He was our first chairperson. Ron Hardy.
Sure.
It was Ron's wife, that was Amy was
Okay.
handling this. And both Stephen and I met with these kids that were, and they're with a Lego League program, I
Yep.
think it is.
Yep.
So they had some stuff too. Didn't they present to the council once?
They did. That's what I was referring to, was the presentation that they did to the council.
Okay, yeah. I think that would be a very nice presentation for us to have too, or follow up with
Sure.
those. If you're willing to facilitate that, that
Yep.
would be fantastic.
I could do that.
It may not be exactly the same thing as Brad and Michelle are thinking, but there's lots of ways to approach this. So it doesn't hurt to explore all of them,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
And I think this might be a good first step too. I mean, if people are composting their backyards, they're going to understand a lot more about what we can compost in the biodigester, and how that whole process works, and it gets people used to sorting things out. So I think that's a good way to go.
Yes. Making sure they keep the meat scraps out of there.
Yeah.
Well, maybe does the biodigester work with meat? It's all just organics, right?
I think it,
Yeah,
yeah, but
it's like scraps, not really raw stuff as much, like cooked scraps, basically, like that you would maybe have in a household, but not like commercially,
Remember when the lady came from the recycling and solid waste management place and handed out those brochures that had lists of things that you could recycle this way or that way? Maybe that would be a step we need to look at too, is creating a good things not to compost and good things to compost list or something. Because I know I would need that to start.
That's a great idea.
Okay, anything else on the composting from anyone? Great, thank you guys. And we'll leave that on for next month. We'll see what happens in the next couple of months with that. Okay, next on the agenda is the duck ordinance. I literally found this, Brandon, about 3 minutes ago while I was looking for my link. Has anybody else seen the draft duck ordinance that Brandon sent out this afternoon? Okay, Pat's seen it. Ken has seen it. Yeah, okay. Well, you guys are ahead of me then. Let me go back to it. I had to go find my link instead. Would you like to
Pretty
address this,
straightforward.
Brady?
I mean, what's that?
Would you like to kind of talk us through this a little bit? Tell us where it came from and,
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of clear. It's a replica of the chicken ordinance. We switched out a lot of the words of chicken keeper to duck keeper, and I don't know if that's the correct term. If it's not, we can get that switched. The other part of that document that I sent you guys, basically everything that's highlighted is either a question that I have or what still needs to be changed. The big part of what we talked about last month was that standard section. So me and Steven both believe that a lot of the other standards, not standards, but the other parts of that document that pertain to chickens were pretty easily, you know, they were able to be replicated for the duck ordinance fairly easily. But that standard section is what's going to be the big change.
are you referring to D, standard of practice?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything highlighted on mine. Am I doing something wrong?
There were two versions, right? A marked up version and a non-marked up version.
I think
Mark.
that's the fossil fuel divestment stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
So
is the duck
sorry.
ordinance. And it just came through at 6 tonight, Ken. At least that's when I got it. So
yeah, I
the
sent it
areas
this
that,
afternoon. Did anybody else did the Word document come through highlighted or not? Okay. So maybe Margie, it's just a matter of how you're looking at it. If you're not opening up in Word, maybe it's showing it differently for you.
yeah, I'm on my iPad because I can't open it and do this at the same time.
Okay, that might be the problem.
Okay, well, and I
The
can look at that
formatting.
later, but so the portion you really want us to take a look at is the standard of practice.
Correct.
Now that I have this, I do also have a duck keeper or whatever they call themselves that has offered to review this with me to see, if there's anything missing or anything important. Bob, you have chickens, right? Not ducks?
Correct. I
Okay,
have chickens.
yeah.
So can we
I-
just put out thoughts or questions or?
Yes, why don't we just kind of review under the standard of practice? I mean, I see one thing already that might not be perfect for ducks. What have you got, Bob? Oh, you keep disappearing on us.
Yeah,
You keep
that's because
turning into your name.
I can't, hold on.
I can hear you though.
Yeah, for whatever, I'm trying to look at the document and I can't keep the document and the screen open at the same time. So,
Gotcha.
there was a spot on there. So I'm going to go back to my screen so that I can see what I'm looking at. And I'm
Sounds
just going
good.
to talk. So, so obviously in D, in my version, it's all about chickens. So the chickens need to be replaced with ducks. The question that I had is I don't even think it's in D. It's in C, and it's C number 2, letter C, and it says no chickens are kept on the property. A maximum of combination of 4 chickens and ducks are permitted. And I make the assumption that this is still under review, correct?
Absolutely.
So are we wanting one or the other, or are we not mixed? I'm confused at whether we're mixing ducks and chickens or not.
Correct. So that was so currently the chicken ordinance is 4 chickens. And so the way, based on the last meeting, there was some conversation, and so I put it in there as if you have both, the maximum would still be 4.
Okay,
Or I guess we could say birds or water flow, or I don't know what the correct terminology is for if you have both. But it would be,
Creatures.
yeah.
Yeah, because the no chickens are kept on property just seemed like a contradiction to
yeah.
the maximum combination.
So, and I guess I'd want to know, I haven't had a conversation with anyone about whether the chickens and the ducks on a farm, it works out great, but I don't necessarily know how that works in regards to an urban area and a much smaller enclosure. So I guess I'm just questioning whether we want people to have, chickens and ducks all in one space.
In 1 yard, you mean?
In one yard.
Okay. Is there anything else you saw on here, Bob?
I'm still reading it.
Okay. Because I'm seeing some things too. I'm trying to keep some notes here. Okay, Pat
Okay.
has something to share.
Just, I guess I do not know a whole lot about ducks. So I almost feel like, is there somebody we can consult with who would tell us what
Yes.
ducks need? Is there a person on staff, or who do we have to refer to? Who do we have?
Like I said, I have somebody who keeps ducks who has done extensive research on them and will
Okay,
be able
so
to review
the-
this with me.
just, I know at the last meeting in the minutes, it said that Vic brought up the question of there being sufficient water for the ducks to bathe in.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that should be in here someplace, if that's really true. I'm assuming it probably is true. And then I know it says the minimum area is 7 square feet or 3 square feet in area per chicken. I'm assuming that's different for ducks. Ducks are bigger birds, right? So and again, I don't have any idea what's needed for ducks. And I was a little confused by, at one place they define what a run is. It's an enclosed space, including tops and all sides, but will the ducks be allowed out just in the yards, or should that be clarified? Earlier in part B under definitions, they describe what a run is, but but later on that never comes up again. So it wasn't clear to me, if ducks are allowed out in the yard or not, I don't know if that should be clarified.
Yeah, so like that particular section, Pat, would be, we left it in there for now because once the standards of practice is established, those terms might be used. If we don't have to use them, then we can cut them out of the other version.
Okay,
So we
so it's
kind of
not-
just like really left it like, as full as it can be. And as we go through this process, we'll kind of cut and slim it down as needs.
But so it
occur.
has to be figured out under what the ducks are allowed to do, I guess. The ducks will be allowed, we'll assume the ducks are allowed out in the yard, or that has to be decided yet.
Correct.
Have to be left out in the yard, yeah, for them to be viable.
Okay.
The things that I saw, did you find anything else, Bob? I should ask you first since I can't see you.
Sure. No, so just in response to Pat's, they do discuss later on, I think in D, it's number 13. Yeah, it talks about runs. It talks about chickens and runs. So, but you're right, it's minimum. So, but that,
Yeah, so again, just for reference, guys, so that whole section of the standards and practice, that part we didn't look at it all. We basically got to that point and I left all that. Everything else is what we tried to edit and replace chickens, the wording of chickens with ducks, because we felt that they were pretty closely associated with each other as far as the appeals process goes and some of the definitions go and stuff like that. So this is just a very first draft, not anywhere near close to finished. Just wanted to get it to you guys so you can kind of see how the wording is going to play out. And if you have recommendations, I guess going forward, we're gonna, as staff, we're gonna do our research based on all those articles that we had before and the last conversations we had and edit that standard section and bring it back to you guys again. This is just kind of where it's at now. And so I guess maybe this conversation should be more about all of those other sections that we did kind of edit already, like Pat's question about the runs, or if there's something in the appeals section or any of those other ones that aren't highlighted. And I know Marty, yours isn't highlighted, so good luck with that.
Yeah, well, actually, I think that I'll probably go through the whole thing related and kind of compare it to my initial discussions with the duck keepers to see, and ask them what their recommendations would be. The two things that I really noticed in here, and now I can't find it again, there was something I thought about having to have a state license as well as a city
Yep.
permit. What's that about? We don't do that with chickens, do we?
Yep, we do.
Do we?
So,
Oh, okay. Clearly, I don't have chickens either. I have a cat.
So we didn't know if ducks require that same state license or not. So I think that was one of the things I had highlighted. I'll have to look.
Okay, so state license is something to look at.
The other thing to look at too, and it was in D, but it's number 10. Chickens need elevated perches for roosting and everything. We might want to check on whether that's something we need to keep in there as it relates to ducks.
Yeah, that is totally wrong for ducks. And I think that I had that in the initial notes, Brandon, about how ducks like to nest in like straw on the ground in an enclosure. I mean, like a doghouse. You would have a doghouse for your ducks and and then they don't need anything else. They can manage it all through the winter if they have hay, or straw. But okay, well, it's probably not in our best, most efficient use of our time tonight to discuss this. Why don't I run it past the resources that I have, and then I'll get back together with you, Brandon. If anybody sees anything on here well, at this point, no, don't even, because we'd all be just changing chickens to ducks, and why bother, right? Why don't we bring this back next month with a newer version, and we'll try and get it out maybe with the regular agenda so everybody has time to review it a little more thoroughly. Sound good? Okay, let's
I
do
should
that.
hopefully be able to have that standards section updated. And by all means, like if you have anything in those other sections that we've kind of gone through already, I think that would be pertinent to send and edit my way if you think that something needs to occur outside of that standards of practice section.
Okay, so
We
anything
haven't even touched
except
that yet.
D.
So
Okay.
yeah, that would be my request, I guess.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, Brandon, how much feedback did you get to our request last month for fossil fuel divestment feedback? Did you get anything from anyone?
Yeah, I got some from Michelle, and I think that was it.
Okay. Okay, then. Well, moving on, I think that's the next thing on our,
And Margie,
yeah.
well, we can talk about it. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm having some conversations with the finance director about the level of investment that we have as a city, because it's kind of vague in regards to where that is and what that is. So and I just haven't had it because of budget and everything. I just haven't had a time to focus with him on that. So I still plan on following up with him related to this conversation.
Okay, so, but do you feel that you'll be learning anything that would make it that we should hold on the fossil fuel divestment resolution for another month, or
No,
can we go ahead and review that?
I'd say let's go ahead and review it.
Okay. I was just making some notes on the ducks. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, then moving on to the fossil fuel divestment, and this is the one that we had the two choices on. And I did get the copy that has like little underlines and stuff. That's the marked up one, right? And the unmarked is the only difference with these, Brandon, just that the changes that I had made to that initial document, or there's stuff here from Michelle too, right? That's incorporated in here. I couldn't tell what was what because, is it, okay, let me rephrase this. Is the unmarked copy the same one that we had at our last meeting that I had brought in? Or is
Yes,
it,
it is.
yes.
It is. Yes, plus Michelle's 2 whereas statements.
Okay, so that is in the one that's dated October 26th, and you've added, okay, so the marked up one is where you took out what I'd taken out from the original one, right? Okay, so really is the only thing we need to look at the new one? The one that is not marked up?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I just provided both so people could see the changes that were made.
Okay. Color me confused tonight, I'm sorry. Usually Brandon and I would have a chance to talk ahead of time and we didn't this month, so. Okay. Well, I read through both of them. I read through the new one. Did you have a chance to review it, Michelle? Is everything that you had hoped to have in there the way you expected to see it?
No, and to be honest, I used to get the paper copies so I could go through and edit and do that stuff. And I didn't get that. And I think, yeah, I just didn't see the link to go look once that was done.
Okay. I should ask you that, Brandon. I know everything's so weird right now because I mean, have we ever done an all WebEx meeting before? Yeah, maybe once, right? So, oh no, not with this group. So
our current system, hopefully it should get back on track. So Mina, our secretary, was on maternity leave. Our part-time secretary had quit right before Mina went on paternity leave or maternity leave, and
everybody was out because of COVID.
We were pretty short-staffed in that position. So like Michelle, if you're typically getting paper copies, that just fell through the cracks because we're trying to get everything done, and a lot of us don't really typically do those duties. So
Yeah, and I mean, I should probably do virtual. I just like the paper thing.
Oh, and it's okay to like the papers because I know you punch them all and put them in a binder. And I think Ken prefers to have paper copies too. Am I correct? Can't hear you, Ken, but do you want paper copies?
I'm able to print my own, so.
Oh, okay. So that's what you do. Okay. Just from the link that we get. Okay. So does anybody else prefer to get paper copies at this point? I know Burton used to always get them, but.
I mean, I guess I could always print them too. Could make it easier.
if you need them printed and a packet sent to you, just send me an email and let me know. It's something we can do. It's just
It's just knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't used to have a printer, but now I have to have one, so shouldn't be a problem anymore.
Well, it's probably more sustainable if they're going to be printed anyway, not to have to mail them, but.
Exactly, yeah.
And you might actually get them, huh? I don't mean you, Brandon. I'm referring to the mail being a little slow lately. Yeah. So anyway, okay, fossil fuel divestment. So you haven't really had a chance to look this one over either. I know that Pat had some concerns, and I don't know if you had a chance to voice those, Pat. You didn't get anything to Brandon, right? Okay, how about you, Bob? You're still checking with long range finance, so you don't have really the information you need for it yet either. Is that correct? Okay, you're still on mute, but I think you said yes.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, well, it looks to me like we probably should hang on to this for another month also and let Bob, hopefully, within the next month, we'll have a chance to investigate that a little further. But You know, whether we have major investments there or not, Bob, I think it's really kind of important that we just get this in the record. Know that Oshkosh would like to do this because it is kind of important.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you in any way in not moving forward with it. I just think it's important. I personally wanted to have a conversation with the finance director about it because I personally wanted to know a little bit more of what we're talking about as it relates to that level of financial investments, divestment from those areas. So, so I was actually, Brandon, I was going to ask you if you could send me a PDF of the version that's not marked up. I'm not happy. I struggle with the Laserfish version program that we use. So if you could send that to me as a PDF, that would be helpful to me in being able to get through that. So, but I'm not suggesting that we hold off. I just want I want to build that level of communication and understanding with the finance director because he wasn't here before when you guys,
That's true. He's
was here.
new since then. Yeah. I think that where we've got the let it further be resolved, our very last sentence or paragraph is probably the most important part of it at this point because we're asking the city to seek out investment in alternatives as opposed to fossil fuels. And that's going to be good for the city too, for investments. So, well, we'll know maybe Thursday or Friday or sometime how much better that might be, huh? Okay, did anybody else do you want, okay, let's try it this way. This is down for discussion. It's not down for action this month. Michelle.
Thank you. I just wanted to see if somebody was going to be working on those parts that we mentioned last time where it says where our sustainability plan mentions these kind of things. If we were going to put the page numbers or sections or, because we have the sections, but you don't have like a page. If someone actually wanted to go in and look at it, then they could.
One problem with that I discovered is that the page number that appears on the pages of the sustainability plan do not match the page when you pull it up virtually. So that's one reason that I listed the chapter and, well, it's the chapter and then the subchapter, subheading for each one. But I mean, we can try. Which would we go with? The page number that would be in a printed version?
Yes.
Yes. I can add those. Sure. I know right where I found them. Printed page number.
Because when you read it online, you're right, Margie. The page number that shows up on that page is wrong, but the actual page number that's on the physical page that is scanned in is still there and it is correct. So I mean, hopefully the people.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay. Anything else on this from anyone?
I just had one more suggestion. I like that there is I don't know if this is new, but there are like two whereases that mention gigatons, and I think they should be next to each other. So we talk about how much more gigatons we can put into the atmosphere, and then like there's a few whereases later when we say how much fossil fuel reserves would release an amount of gigatons if they're burned. I think that would be more powerful if they're right next to each other. And is that something we still needed to update? It's not something that I was able to find when I was looking, but I just wondered if we had assigned somebody, I think it might've been me.
About the gigatons? I know that, I think, Pat, did you express an interest in doing some research on that? No, you're muted.
I could, but I don't know. I don't have any source for that information. I would just be kind of,
Okay.
I had other comments on it, but I don't know if you want real specific comments at this point or not.
I think we do, because we would really like to get all of our discussion done on this so that we can just make the
Okay,
changes and bring it back for a vote next month.
okay, in the second whereas where it says, I think it's probably the second sentence, it starts out that extra heat. I don't know if it would just, extra heat isn't really referred to earlier, global warming is referred to. So and the definition of heat can be interpreted by different people in different ways. It's kind of a science thing. So
Okay, how would you
I'd probably
suggest we
just say,
reword that?
well, just global warming is driving instead of saying that extra heat.
Agreed. I had the same comment. Extra heat could be momentary. It could be trend or trend oriented. So it's not clear.
Yeah.
So we
And
take out
put-
that extra heat.
And just put in global warming is driving regional and seasonal temperature extreme.
Okay, is that still a new sentence?
Yeah, that would still be a new sentence, right? Yeah, global warming would be the subject.
So it will say natural systems throughout the world, period. Global warming is driving regional and seasonal.
Right, yeah, that makes more sense to me. I don't know if somebody has a better idea, but
Does that make sense to you too, Ken? Yeah, okay. Other thoughts?
in
Yeah,
the third whereas, and it may be the verbiage was pulled out of that special report, I don't know, but scenarios presented in the IPCC special report suggest a decline. So that it's like not clear to me, suggest a decline should occur, will occur. So I don't know if the word recommends a decline in the use, but I don't know, the verb suggest is just a little vague in that sentence to me.
okay.
You know, and I haven't found the place in the report where it recommends, I don't know if it recommends that or it urges that or, you know, I haven't read the part of the report where that got pulled from. So I'm not really sure how they stated it, but suggests is kind of soft, I guess, and it's not quite, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think where I found that because I obviously added that. Okay, I'll go back and check and see if I can find that and then I'll include it in there.
Okay.
Unless anybody else just happens to have that at their fingertips. No, Brad? No? Nice try, huh? Okay. Anything else, Pat?
The fifth whereas, all the other whereases end with a semicolon and an and until you get to the therefore, and that one doesn't have an and. I'm not sure why. I don't know if you need the and or not, but all the other ones have ands,
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't, huh?
except for the whereas that's before the therefore be it resolved. And I
Okay.
don't know if I don't know if a date is needed when referring to that report. Maybe it's not. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth whereas refers to an ordinance. I'm not sure I understand the meaning of ordinance. I tend to think of like a law or a
It
rule.
should say resolution. This is actually a
Okay.
resolution. Is that right, Bob?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for catching that.
And I tried to look at the Carbon Trackers Initiative on Burnable Carbon Report, and I couldn't find the list, but I didn't look real hard. So, and then on the when I printed it out, it was on the second page. The second whereas cites some real specific numbers, and I don't know if it would be a good idea to give the source of that information. You know, the exhibit higher returns showing 66% in 5 years, 192% in 10 years. So this versus fossil fuel showing negative 9.6%. And then is that supposed to be a negative 97% or I'm not sure, or a 9.
66% in 5 years and 192%.
And then versus fossil fuel investment showing negative 9.6% and 97% in the same time frame. So those numbers don't quite make sense to me.
Right, for the 5 years and the 10 years.
Yeah,
That
and
was
then
that was one of them. I think that was one of them that you had sent, Michelle. I looked into that article and I was a little confused by those numbers at first too, but that is what the graph showed.
Yeah, it's their returns. So so they'd have a negative return. So that I would think then
it
there
should
was
be
a
a
loss.
negative 97%, or maybe show it.
No, it's
No,
just
it's a
saying
smaller
that
amount.
it's saying that in the 5 year period from whatever the years they were looking at, say from today to 5 years ago, they showed a negative 9.6% return. But in the last 10 years, they've seen a 97% return. So that just means that the 5 years prior, from 2010 to 2015, were real positive.
Oh, but in the last 5 years.
Correct.
Oh, I see. And it's 97% compared to 192%.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, okay. I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if other people got confused by that too or not. I don't know.
No, it is confusing, but that is the way the article is written. At least I believe so, right? That's the way it was explained in that article too. Right, Michelle?
Yeah.
And that's the way the graph shows it. I mean, we can try to reword it if you guys want. I'm okay with that too. But it is a confusing sentence. I agree.
And then I don't know if it'd be good to cite where that information came from if somebody wanted to look it up. I'm assuming this is going to the city council, and council members might want to say, hey, where'd those numbers come from?
Right.
I
It
did
would
include
probably
the
be
source
good to
too.
start out, yeah, according to blah, blah, wherever it came for, renewable, and go on from there, right? And you have that source, one of you, right? Because you looked it up. Okay.
I did send the source with it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if we can include that.
And I think maybe not putting in the same time frame afterwards, because it sounds like one time frame we're talking about 5 years and 10 years. So I don't know. Maybe that was part of it.
Same time frame.
Unless
Maybe it
the
should say
confusion was the negative.
respectively or something instead. Would that make more sense?
It'd be okay to break it up into 2 sentences to make it clearer, rather than to get all those numbers in 1 sentence.
Well, actually, the whole document is 1 sentence if you,
Or whatever, or
whereas, and.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, we'll just work on that one so it's a little more clear,
Okay.
and we'll cite the source.
Okay.
Does somebody have an idea of where to get the gigaton numbers or not? I can look, but I don't have any special resource for looking that up.
I put in the chat a link that might be helpful. I don't know how to read that number and how it relates to the gigatons, but it does have a clock constantly for that.
Okay, so that might work for using that.
Plus Brad's on it, so.
Okay. Okay, that's my comments done.
Do we have access to these links or anything later? We don't, do we? Can you, if there are links in the chat, Brandon, can you send those out to us?
Yeah, I think there's a way for me to actually save the chat at the end of this.
Okay,
Well,
that'd probably be good.
And if not, I'll just copy and paste it all in a Word document and we can use it afterwards.
You
Okay.
technically have to save the chat because it's considered public conversation.
Perfect.
It's part of the public record. So.
It's part of the public record, but how would we access it would be my question if we wanted to use that link, so. Okay, in that same sentence with the unburnable carbon, it should say towards the end, it should say which is 5 times the amount, which didn't get changed. That's my bad, I think. But that number came out of the unburnable carbon report, and that's how I initially found it. So are you still looking for that, Brad? Yeah, okay. Which is 5 times, mark that. Okay, was there anything else, Pat, that you saw? You're so good at this one. This
No,
is
I
why we
read
need a scientist on our board.
No, actually, I printed it out and read it before I ate dinner, so that's all. No, I didn't, there wasn't anything else.
You don't have to give away all your secrets. Okay. Did anybody else have anything to share on this that you've seen? Okay, well then let's go with this information, Brandon, and you and I can maybe look it over a little bit before we send it out next month too. Okay, no further discussion on that. Then we could move on to social media, which we're really gonna just let Brandon give a very brief report on because Vic was, she's still at work tonight. She was not able to. You know, she's in the medical profession, right?
Oh,
Okay, so Brandon,
Yeah, I've been getting a couple of emails from a few of you, and trying to get those things posted as they come in. I've also just tried to spend a little extra time when I can to, browse the different sustainability pages and get those on our Facebook page. We can look at the statistics in a couple months and see how well it's working or not.
and I would encourage everyone to like our page if you have it already. And if you see something on there that you're comfortable sharing on your own page, please do so. Because the more we share and the more we comment on it and the more we like things, the further everything's going to go. So, or at least that's how it was last week. We never know with Facebook, really. Did you have anything you'd like to share on the social media subject, Ken? Or not tonight?
Nothing really. I guess the only thing that, I think I'd like to just bring forward is having experience with social media with regard to community causes. There's just a severe lack of activity in our social media presence. Inability to forward progress in the area that we're providing advice and counsel on is somewhat problematic. And so anything that would reduce the barriers to frequency of content sharing is really of the utmost priority. And that's not just true of this advisory board, it's true of them all. But in particular, this one, there's wins that can be shared with the community. And that's my only concern at this point, is just trying to figure out how to overcome that barrier.
Okay. Well, and I see we are following the Oshkosh, the UWO sustainability page. And if we link back and forth between those two, that would be good too, right? We can help each other out that way. I'm not very good at that. Every time I do it, it pops up wrong. I don't know. I end up sending it to my sister or something. I don't know.
I'll just add one thing, Ken. If you feel like you have the ability to produce content, by all means, send it my way. And maybe instead of just sharing other people's things, if you can come up with something that's some substance, I think we could push it out there.
It'd be nice if we had some kind of process or methodology to do that, so you're not deluged and it's something manual.
Well, please deluge him at least for a month or two, Ken. We'll see how it works. Bob, you had something?
Sure. I guess my comments were, that, I think it's good that we send things Brandon's way in regards to elements that we think should be promoted on this, on the Facebook page. But I think it'd also be good to pick like 2 or 3 or no more than 5 posts a month that are consistent messaging, that'll go out from the Sustainability Advisory Board Facebook page. I can think of, one for sure would be, public notice of our meeting. Public notice of our minutes. Or if we, let's say next month, we as a board, we say, yes, we approve, or we approve the moving forward on the duck ordinance, or moving forward on the fossil fuels divestment. These actions we should also promote as being, formidable actions from this board, it's our messaging to not only the city council, but it's also our messaging to the community, that I think is important as well. So, and I know, Brandon, what I just suggested to you adds more time to your social media schedule and such. But I think part of this is consistency of message of what we're working on and what we do is really important. Otherwise, if you go to the page, you can see everything that we've shared or that we've linked up, and that who we're friends with and stuff like that, but you don't see a consistent message of what we're trying to accomplish.
I agree with that because there's ways to manage that. For example, our meetings, if we know the general schedule for the year, those can be posted as events, and then the posts regarding those events can be released at various times to reduce the administrative burden associated with those types of things. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, Bob. I mean, those are excellent points. Standard sort of cadence things that always occur in the background are pretty key. And the nice thing is that, we've got this huge, sort of sustainability plan. That's kind of a framework for a lot of that, content and being able to show the public the relationship between the council, this board, and this plan on be incredibly powerful, I think.
We could also consider reviewing a chapter a month. I mean, we've got 10 chapters in that plan, and I think that's sort of what Vic's been doing when she concentrates on one subject for the month. But I mean, maybe we do atmosphere for a month, right? Or something like that. It might be a way to let the public know we actually have a sustainability plan, or the council, or different organization, different boards and committees within the city. Anyway, okay, so we can work on that. If you have something, you should send it to Brandon, right?
Right. I was just gonna say, and then like on Bob's point with like the meetings, we've talked about posting the meetings multiple times, but like, would you guys just prefer that I send out the link to the Laserfish document? I don't have what's the proper way of doing that?
Bob?
I do not advise that we promote the use of the Laserfish to the community. That's my opinion. It's a very public opinion. I've expressed it. I'm not happy with it. I don't think it's a feasible platform for the community to come and look for our data. So I would think that if we were gonna post anything that we wanted that was universally acceptable to the community, that it be posted like as a PDF or something separate from the Laserfish.
So you would prefer to see the PDF of the agenda and then the packet, like it would be one big PDF that had all the material?
I think that's fine. So but I think we're gonna lose people if we send them to the web link, to the Laserfish web link. So
Yeah, you lose me about every third time, so the Laserfish is difficult to use.
Yeah, I think it's the only way, like the way I just asked Bob about doing it, it would be like 5 different images basically then if we had 5 documents. that the post would be 5 different pictures.
So I guess that would be a little overwhelming to do that. So I'm glad you explained that, Brandon. I think this would be a great opportunity for Brandon to have a conversation with Tony Newman about the functionality of how that laserfish could be transformed in a way that's more user friendly, not just for the public, but also when posting things to Facebook or other social media platforms. I mean, what I'm confused of is I get PDFs all the time from the city of Oshkosh, right? So and I know that they take that information and they put it on multiple pages related to the city of Oshkosh. And sometimes, they'll post a press release or something, so that, they'll do their little headline for the post, and then they'll post, a link to that press release. And that link does not go to the Laserfish. So there's
Mhm.
got to be a way that can be worked out.
Yeah, because like the PDFs are saved, in a folder on a city drive. They're not, so that's why they got to be pushed to Laserfish, because that's the public forum.
Sure.
So there's no other way I can conceptually think about doing it besides posting that link that takes you to Laserfish, or just showing the PDF document. Like for instance, in multiple page, it'd be multiple pictures.
Well, we can work on that.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can, we can, I don't think we're gonna solve that right here and now,
But
but
if you have an example, just send me, send me the example so I can review it and kind of research and see if I can figure it out.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
would
a
like-
social media wizard. So,
I would like everybody to take a look at chat. Brad has come up with some of the information that we needed. Thank you so much. Was this copy and paste, or did you sit there and type all that in?
I typed it. That's just summarizing what I found between the IPCC report and what Michelle shared, the link Michelle shared.
Great, thank you. Okay, so Brandon, you'll want to be sure and capture that so that we can include that in the. I can't figure out a way that I can grab it from the chat. Does anybody know? Oh, guess what? You can copy it. I just don't know where I could paste it. Maybe nowhere. I don't know. It's not my computer.
you could probably throw it in a notepad. Most computers have notepad. You could search on your computer for notepad and throw it in there if you'd like. But you don't have to worry
Actually,
about
I just sent an email to me.
Perfect.
I put it in there and sent it. Okay. Now I just have to figure out how to get back to you. I don't see you anymore. Are you seeing me?
Yes.
Probably, huh? Well, where was that? I just keep closing things until I find you again. Oh, hi, there you are. Okay. No, Ken, we don't. We've never really even discussed that, but we should have a sister city, shouldn't we? Oops, you're on mute. Sorry.
I thought we did for general purposes, other sister cities around the country. It just occurs to me that if they have any kind of social media presence as well, is to cross-pollinate those sustainability of ours and cross-share content. Bob, do we have sister cities or a sister city?
Not aware of anything, but we may have something, but I'm not even sure where we would look to find that out. I think that would be a more a staff project to find out whether we do have any sister cities.
Or maybe we should just establish one.
Okay, just a thought.
Yeah, good one. Okay, then, agenda items for future meeting. Moving on to that. We'll see if we have anything for community composting next month. If we don't, that's fine. I get it. People are not always available. We should be able to bring back that duck ordinance so that we'll be able to have discussion and possibly action on that. In fact, let's just plan on having action on that. And the fossil fuel divestment, we know we can have action on that because we'll have that redone and sent out in plenty of time. Is there anything else that anybody would like us to do? This is November, so next month is December. Might be kind of a busy month. It might be a very strange one. Okay, Brad has a thought.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention as a agenda item for next time that the Public Service Commission has a RFP out right now for energy innovation grants. Those are generally for, there's a couple of different categories. Some of it is for energy modeling and planning. Some of it is for solar installation with battery backup technology. That grant for that specific purpose of solar and battery combo is pretty big. It's about $500,000 to pay for the project. There's no match requirement. I think basically municipalities, schools, universities, anybody can apply through the PSC. I can share information with folks if that's good. I can put a link in the chat. Bring it up for, so I'll put the link in the chat now. The
Okay.
university do an applicate or submitting a proposal. I know several other UW schools are as well. I think total the PSC has 7 million appropriated for this grant. Just seems like, I guess my question, for this group to think about, and certainly this can be for next time, is this the group that would put forth something like this, or would we work with other folks within the city? Who are those people? It just seems like a really good opportunity to get some money. There's no match requirement. I think I mentioned that already. That's kind of been a big thing for us on campus, is kind of coming up with a certain percentage of match, and they don't have that here, so you can basically pay for the entire project.
Okay.
Like something that consider, some solar and battery on a building or two.
Thank you. Yes, it's been, a year, almost 2 years ago, Pat, I think that we were discussing that. And then it never timed out right for us, but maybe this one will, so.
There's also some like energy upgrades. So I know you can, there's a couple of different sort of categories of projects. There's probably like 4 or 5 of those. So I think it's worth reviewing.
I agree. Great, thank you.
I'll just add, I mean, if you guys can look through what Brad has sent there and if you guys have questions or comments, try to maybe, I don't know if Brad, if you want to facilitate those questions, or I can, we can hopefully try to get those submitted on time. The deadline for that is November 23rd.
Yeah, there's a clarification period where basically if you are unsure about something, you can pose questions to the PSC directly and get clarification, but that has to be before the 23rd of November, which is obviously before our next. Why I wanted to bring it up this time as a future agenda item to just keep it on people's radar.
So
Great.
please look through the document, and if you have questions, let, I guess, Brad or I know. Good with that, Brad?
Okay.
Brad, can you put your email in the chat, please?
Will this be something you're applying for at the university too, Brad? Okay, so we would be competing with you for the money?
I mean, we're going to be competing with lots of people in the state, right? But you know, there's money there, so
Hey, you're the only one going to be in conflict here, so I guess maybe we shouldn't ask you to write our grant then, is what I was thinking.
more so bring it to the group, and yeah, it's there for folks to we can discuss, you know, how involved different members of the committee are.
Okay. Is there any other item for future meetings that anyone would like to bring forth? Okay, well, let's see if we can wrap up these, the duck ordinance and the fossil fuel divestment next month, and we'll take a look at that grant. And then we'll be ready in January to start all over again with projects for next year. So as you're of course perusing your sustainability plan while you're trying to, you know, fall asleep or whatever, be thinking about what you'd like to see us accomplish next year, so you'll be ready to share that in January. Just giving you a little bit of warning on that. Okay, with that, our next meeting will be on Monday, December 7th. We'll still be virtual, I see. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. That was Bob and Ken. And all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Great. Thank you guys for coming.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.